Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 famous voice actors who helped shape Hollywood. You probably don't know their faces, but millions of people know their voices better than they do the voices of their own family. For nearly the past century, these performers brought to life iconic cartoon characters and excited audiences about upcoming films and shows, all without having to spend any time in the hair and makeup department. Just to clarify, we are talking about people here who haven't had a major role where they're best known as a writer, creator, or performer in front of the camera. That's why there are no performers like Orson Welles, Mark Hamill, Parker and Stone, Seth MacFarlane, and so forth. So let's get started. Number 10. Don LaFontaine. There's not a role in particular that general audiences knew him for, but all Don LaFontaine needed were 3 words that became his trademark: in a world. Although he began working tech jobs like editing and some creative gigs like writing, his true calling was doing voiceovers for trailers and other ads, a number of which he wrote himself. By some estimates, over the course of his career, he did hundreds of thousands of these, sometimes as many as 25 in a single day. His personal favourite was when he did the trailer for The Elephant Man, which was kind of a shame because it was 28 years before the end of his career. If that sounds like something trivial, bear in mind that at the time of his passing in 2008, he had an estimated net worth of roughly $80 million. It also connected with audiences enough that his catchphrase was used as the title for the 2013 hit indie movie, In a World. Number 9. Nancy Cartwright. In the early 90s, it surprised the world over and over again to learn that the cartoon child megastar Bart Simpson was played by a grown woman. Indeed, during the 1991 season premiere of the show, she got to leave attendees feeling a bit odd when she announced, in Bart Simpson's famous voice, that she was 9 months pregnant and on the verge of delivery. In 2000, she was still milking that joke really effectively by publishing her best-selling autobiography, My Life as a 10-Year-Old Boy, and then she performed that book as a one-woman show. Cartwright's success got her future jobs such as Chucky Finster on Rugrats and supporting character / naked role man Rufus on Kim Possible, but it's very likely she'll ever escape The Simpsons. As Al Jean pointed out on a commentary for an episode of the show, it makes one of her earliest roles, a bit part in the Twilight Zone movie, all the more appropriate. She played a woman who gets trapped in a cartoon world. Number 8. John DiMaggio. Modern cartoon fans may know John DiMaggio best from Adventure Time as Jake the Dog, a transforming companion to the protagonist Finn, who's in his late 20s in magical dog years. His bits of down-to-earth philosophy, like sucking at something is the first step to being good at something, have certainly become widespread online. Others are likely to know him from the long-running, as in 7 seasons with 4 movies, science fiction cartoon Futurama as the breakout character Bender, the lovable, emotionally vulnerable, drunken robot. More than a few know him from the DC movie Batman Under the Red Hood, where he did a very creepy rendition of the Joker. If we have any gamers in the audience, he was also Marcus Fenix in the Gears of War series. Such is John DiMaggio's commitment to his career that he wasn't content with just starring in a number of popular cartoons. He co-wrote, co-produced, and narrated a 2013 documentary on voice acting called I Know That Voice, which includes interviews with numerous performers featured in this video. Anyone with an interest on this subject should really check out that documentary. Number 7. Tara Strong. A generation of kids grew up hearing her as Timmy Turner on Fairly Odd Parents, which has been running for 16 years. During that time, she was also characters like the dark, serious teen Raven on Teen Titans and protagonist Ben Tennyson on Ben 10. For fans of more adult cartoons, there are the years she spent as Princess Clara on the raunchy reality show parody Drawn Together. For those who like stuff that's halfway between mostly targeted to younger children and being sort of edgy and violent, there were the 7 years she spent as the cute and cuddly Bubbles in the Powerpuff Girls. She's also voiced one of the most beloved Batman villains, Harley Quinn, in the Arkham video game series. But undoubtedly, her biggest and most loyal following are fans of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, where she plays the bookish protagonist Twilight Sparkle. Although she says she had no idea how she'd get a bunch of adult fans from doing that particular show, she has decided to embrace this particular group, including working on one-on-one online chat sessions with people who've been heavily bullied. Presumably, she didn't feel any need to do that for her fans from Drawn Together. Number 6. Jim Cummings. So how's this for range? A guy who can voice both Winnie the Pooh and Goofy's gruff nemesis and best friend Pete in numerous Disney cartoons. Although he was a supporting character in pretty much every Disney cartoon from the late 80s through the 90s, such as playing the tough mouse Monterey Jack on Rescue Rangers or the goofy wolf villain Don Carnegie, he also got to play the titular character in several original cartoons. He was the bumbling but reliable Darkwing Duck and the cat half of the rather nightmarish but fun Cat Dog by Nickelodeon. For decades, he was pretty much inescapable on televised cartoons, but eventually he found his way into theatrical animated films, sometimes in surprising ways. It's probably not so surprising after you've heard his gravelly, villainous voice that he played several characters in Aladdin who were obsessed with cutting the hands off of thieves. But did you know that in The Lion King he didn't just play the insane hyena Ed, but got to sing a duet with Jimmy Irons? What happened was that Irons blew out his voice during the epic villain song Be Prepared, and Cummings had to step in and finish it for him. It's a real testament to his skills as an impersonator that barely anyone noticed in the movie's original run. Number 5. Tress MacNeille. For the past few decades, it seems like it's been impossible for a cartoon to air on television without featuring Tress MacNeille in either a prominent recurring role or even as the star. On The Simpsons, she regularly plays Seymour Skinner's mother, Crazy Counter Lady, Bart Simpson's regular bullies, Dolphin Jimbo Jones, and several others. On Matt Groening's other cartoon, Futurama, she voiced 15 recurring characters, most notably Mom, the closest thing the show has to a villain. If your tastes are a bit more in favor of those early 90s WB cartoons, she was Dot Warner, one of the 3 titular characters in Animaniacs. Not a bad career of voicing cartoons for someone who started out pursuing a gig as a DJ. One of the more amusing aspects of MacNeille's career was one of her late 80s jobs. On the Disney program Rescue Rangers, featuring the classic chipmunk characters Chip and Dale, she voiced Chip. Oddly, she also voiced the main female character, Gadget Hackwrench, making it one of the few times the same actor has played both halves of a potential romantic pairing. Number 4. Troy Baker. This list has been more about cartoons than anything else so far, but we're going to take a little break from that to focus on video games, which in market terms have overtaken cartoons in prominence. As far as prominence within video game voice acting goes, you can't really beat Troy Baker. The former lead singer for the band Trip Fontaine and former voice actor for anime dubs has given highly acclaimed lead performances in some of the highest profile and most acclaimed games in recent memory. His performance as the befuddled man of action, Booker DeWitt, in the surreal 2013 science fiction game BioShock Infinite was one of the best of the year. That was accompanied by his performance as the dispirited protagonist, Joel, in the survival game The Last of Us. Little wonder then that he was named one of Entertainment Weekly's breakout stars of 2013, and that was not the sort of honor they were likely to give to a video game voice actor. He earned it too. His performance for The Last of Us alone took him 80 days to complete. Since then, he's had roles like the rather kooky villain Pagan Min in 2014's Far Cry 4. But his main new steady gig has been roles in superhero games. Since 2013, he has voiced Batman, multiple versions of Robin, and the Joker in various DC, Arkham, and Injustice games. He was Superman in the 2015 game Infinite Crisis. There's even a fun little clip where he compares his version of the Joker's laugh with the aforementioned Joe DiMaggio's. Number 3. Frank Welker. All of the performers we've mentioned so far have been extremely good when it comes to playing human or at least humanoid characters. Frank Welker, however, is not bound by only voicing characters that can talk. Some of his best performances have been as Apu the monkey and Raja the tiger in Aladdin, since he was fully believable as animals instead of just as a human imitating them. He was even convincing as the cricket character Cricky in Mulan. When it comes to characters that can talk, he has been Fred Jones in pretty much every version of Scooby-Doo since 1969, even in parodies such as the ones done on Family Guy. He was the voice of the villain Megatron from the 1980s cartoon Transformers, and made enough of an impression on fans that after Hugo Weaving played the character in the 2007 film, Hasbro still had him voice the character for the Transformers games to appease the fans. In 2011, Welker received a rather backhanded honor. When you took all of the movies where he voiced either a speaking character or a regular animal, his performances made him the most successful actor ever, with grosses above $6 billion. That's not even counting all the money that has been made from his hundreds of roles on television. But the Guardian article that reported that still called him the most successful Hollywood actor you've never heard of. Still, by voice actor standards, that's probably quite an achievement. Number 2. Billy West. General audiences were first introduced to Billy West on Howard Stern for several years, starting in 1989 and ending in 1995. By the time he left that show, he'd landed new jobs voicing both titular characters on the Nickelodeon cartoon Ren and Stimpy and on the show Doug. He became the new voice of many of the most prominent Looney Tunes characters, such as Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd, including in the hit 1996 blockbuster Space Jam. He's also the voice of the Cheerios bee in that company's many commercials. These days, he's best known for starring in Futurama along with John DiMaggio in dozens of parts on the show. If you didn't know better, you'd never guess that the protagonist Philip J. Fry, Professor Farnsworth, and Dr. Zoidberg were all voiced by the same person. Incidentally, his Fry voice is by far closest to his real one. Number 1. Mel Blanc. As the man with 1,000 voices, Mel Blanc is the best known, most influential, and most respected of all voice actors. It was pretty much because of him that we know today who voice actors are for cartoons, instead of that being a secret, since studios like Warner Brothers tried to suppress the names of voice actors in the hope of keeping their cartoons more believable. Since he was the original voice for Looney Tunes characters ranging from Bugs Bunny to Tweety Bird to Elmer Fudd, he was able to get screen credit. Of course, it wasn't all that benevolent. He was the only one who got credit, and he made sure of it. In the 80s, he was the original performer for numerous famous characters for Hanna-Barbera, such as Barney Rubble on the Flintstones and Cosme Spacely on the Jetsons. These characters were so important to him that there's a famous story saying that after a horrible car wreck in 1961 left him in a semi-comatose state, the doctors were only able to get a response from him after a few weeks by addressing him as Bugs Bunny, prompting him to respond, well,
what's up, Doc?
So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already for brand new videos just like this every day of the week. Also over there on the right, a couple of other videos that you might enjoy if you enjoyed this one, and thank you for watching.